The four of them were a little astonished when I told them I was planning to run for Congress. But despite that they're my harshest critics, they have all chosen to endorse my candidacy. Now, I've been called various things. The Nation magazine called me the first candidate in America to run on a federal job guarantee. The Flagpole magazine in Athens called me the most progressive candidate to have ever run in the 10th district. But I like best what Phil Johnson just called me right before the meeting began. He said I was a real traditional Democrat. And in a sense, I'm running because I really want to put back on our political agenda what the Democratic Party once stood for. What it stood for in the days of FDR, who in 1944 gave a very famous address, his last address to Congress, where he said, look, our Constitution is not sufficient to provide for our freedom in face of current conditions. We need a new Bill of Rights that will ensure that we all have a means of earning a living, we all have affordable housing, we all have health care, we all have access to education at all levels, we all have access to culture. Well, that call for a new social Bill of Rights fell on deaf ears. It was raised again by Martin Luther King in his last year when he was about to launch the Poor People's Campaign, and again by Coretta Scott King, who 6 years after her husband's assassination set up a National Committee for Full Employment. They both called for an economic emancipation that would be rooted in something fundamental to the American dream, namely the idea that if you want to work, you should have an opportunity to work and support your family and yourself at a fair wage. I'm here to bring to Washington the struggle for guaranteed jobs, where the government will step in when the market fails to give us a job and provide us with work that serves our community. And we all know there is plenty of work that needs to be done that the private sector is not taking care of. Not just our decrepit infrastructure, but a new green energy infrastructure. We need to bring broadband everywhere, including to rural areas like our own. We need to provide affordable housing. We need to provide all sorts of human services like childcare, elder care, fix up our schools, all our public facilities, bring culture to everyone. This is a fundamentally transformative measure. If all our young people know that they will have a job awaiting them when they come of age, at a fair wage serving their community, we can shut down the school to prison pipeline. We can end the mass incarceration that is wrecking our communities. Because if everyone knows they have a legal means of earning a living, they won't enter prison, and if they're coming out of prison, they won't ever have to go back. Now, this will also be transformative for we who have jobs, because we all live under this fear that if we lose our jobs, we don't know if we will find one to be able to support ourselves or our family. And that fear is not only stoking hatred of immigrants and minorities and allowing people like Trump to gain support, but it's also preventing people from blowing the whistle on sexual harassment on the job, on standing up against racial discrimination on the job, for fighting for their rights on the job, for fighting against corporate abuse. We can completely remove that fear with guaranteed jobs and fair wages. And when I speak of fair wages, I do not mean living wage. It's not just a matter of getting enough to get by. We need to ensure, as a fundamental principle of justice that was in effect for most people until 1973, that wages rise in tandem with productivity gains, so that we all share in the rising prosperity of the country. We can quibble over what exactly that would amount to, but I would suggest it amounts to at least a new fair minimum wage of $20 an hour, that our nation can easily afford. We have the greatest national income in human history, the greatest amount of accumulated wealth in human history. We can easily bring the bottom up to $41,600 a year and provide that to everyone who is truly disabled or unable to work anymore. We can wipe out poverty. We have everything we need to do so. And on that basis, we can then fix our schools, where parents need only have one job and they can be at home when kids get back from school and prepare proper meals. We can fix up our dilapidated housing and provide an adequate supply of affordable housing, and we can put a complete moratorium on utility turnoffs, evictions and foreclosures, because everyone will have a source of income. We can reschedule the payments. And we can have a single-payer healthcare system that can actually work, because people will not be suffering from the tension and pressures of poverty, and we can also provide genuine reproductive freedom for women. We not only will have access to all contraceptives and day-after pills, but also will know for sure that if they want to have children, they will have guaranteed employment at fair wages, they can have free child care, elder care, child allowances, so that anyone who wants a child will be able to afford to have it. And of course, we can end money playing any role whatsoever in our legal standing. I'm putting out the idea of a legal care system for all, which will provide not only criminal but civil legal representation for everyone, with which you can fight sexual harassment, discrimination, deal with your landlord problems, deal with child custody problems, and it will all be paid for by a government insurance scheme funded by fair taxation. This is an agenda for a new birth of freedom. We can do it, and frankly, to win in this district, there is no road to victory that relies just on getting a strong turnout of Democrats. We have to win over a third of those independents and Republicans who were seduced by Donald Trump's appeal to their economic anxiety and his claim that he could bring jobs and bring back manufacturing. Well, a social bill of rights anchored in guaranteed jobs is the true answer to that disquiet. I hope you will support me. I have a campaign website, winfieldforcongress.com. If you want to volunteer or contribute, you can do so through the website.
Richard's exactly right. You cannot win the 10th congressional district with Democrats.